Welcome to the Errata Sonata. I'm Noah. I will be one of your hosts today.
I'm Ian.
And I'm Eric.
We've got a special guest today.
A very special guest. A progenitor, a word that I've only used on the podcast and never in my real life. But Eric, how do you know both of us? How about you hit us with that?
All right. Well, Noah's my cousin, so I've known him for 26 years or whatever.
Damn, you're fucking old, Noah.
I'm not 26 yet.
I was like, whatever.
You're not 26 yet?
No.
You will be.
It's
soon
like
enough.
conceptually weird to me that you're that age and you're getting married. I feel like,
That's how old I was.
well, I know, but like you guys are just such good Christian boys. you're getting
No,
married.
Eric, you were 26 when you got married.
Yeah.
I'm not 26.
Yeah, but you'll be like 2 months out. Like,
Sounds like I win.
okay. I mean, that's fair.
Am I old? Am I?
You're old.
Ian's
hand,
never
Ian.
getting married.
That's fair.
Probably not. I mean,
He's a lone wolf. He's wearing a wolf
I've,
shirt
I've
right
been,
now.
I've been with Julia for 7 years. You think I'm a lone wolf?
Yes. Because your ideal night with Julia is she's in her room with the door closed and you're on the couch.
We actually
Playing Castlevania.
Exactly.
We actually talked about that yesterday because like he was saying he's trying to get Julia to like be on the couch with him instead of in the
Oh
other
yeah,
room.
but she's super ADHD, like actually. But so like if there's a screen there, no world she is going to pay attention to her thing.
Honestly, I'm the same. I have the worst time paying attention to something when there's a screen there. I've always been that way. It doesn't matter if I'm interested in what's on the screen or not. I'm going to stare at the screen.
That's like confusing to me. I very much can like exist within my own bubble around people.
I can pay attention to, like, I'm pretty good at paying attention to multiple things at once, but I will be staring at the screen while I'm having a conversation with you or texting or doing something else. But I have to be staring at that screen.
I have a coworker who like cannot do anything without having something else on, and I think it's ridiculous.
I've completely abandoned all multitasking because I used to be like that. I used to be like, I would practice fighting games while I listen to something, or I try and watch a TV show while I was playing a certain game, and
yeah.
I realized that like I was not enjoying either activity. They were just becoming time fillers.
Yep.
So I only do activities now that like absorb 100% of my attention.
Wait, so now you practice fighting games in silence?
Well, I don't really practice fighting games that much anymore.
Right,
That's the real truth. Like I just don't like really enjoy the dynamic of being like I'm doing one activity with my hands and then another activity with my brain, because then I feel like I'm just like filling time. Like the only time I would do something like that is if it's like this is a job that I'm not like excited to do, but like if it's a free time activity, I'll never multitask.
Okay. So when you say listen to something, you're talking about like audiobooks or something.
Audiobooks,
Not like
yeah.
listening to music while you work out.
Yeah. Well, I listen to audiobooks while I work out.
Okay.
I think that's
So you
fair.
do work with your hands.
No, but
well.
that's what I'm saying. But like that's a chore. That's not a free time activity. It's not like an piece of entertainment.
Yeah, he's not like working out for fun.
He's swimming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think I'm
don't
doing it for
like
fun?
You don't like it.
I don't think it's that fun when
No.
you're doing it for exercise. Like,
Yeah,
when
I'm
it's
doing it
for
for
health.
leisure.
I was away for work this week. I went in the hotel pool. I'm like, I'm gonna pull an Ian. I'm gonna do some
Get your
back
cock
and
out?
forth laps
Oh,
in this
that's what you
pool.
meant.
I did 4 back and forths. I'm like, this is the most mind-numbingly boring thing I've ever done in my life. How do you do this?
I mean, the answer is yes. It's pretty mind numbing. But like I think of that as like all non-competitive exercise. Like if I go to a gym and I lift weights, it is exactly the same thing to me.
But you feel like strong and you're struggling to do
Feel
it.
weak.
You know what I mean?
No, but like swimming's like at least relaxing. It's sort of like, you know, like you're working out, but like you're just moving through the water. You're getting a good stretch gone.
That's what I mean. Like weightlifting isn't like that because it's not like you're just not thinking. Like all your brain power is in like
Lift.
I need to lift. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think I would enjoy that dynamic in the first place.
Yeah.
And I kind of get the most similar exercise I can think of to swimming like that is running,
Sure.
I
which is you just
wish.
drain your brain.
Oh my god.
But when I run, I'm on trails, so it's like I get to see that nice scenic.
The real truth is if I was taking exercise more seriously, I probably would do neither of those things and I would join a sports league. I think that's like the way I get my heart pumping that I'm most engaged with is just
Me
like
too.
do a physical sport.
Swimming is a physical sport,
But you know what I mean? It's not
like a swimming league.
It's not, there's
no,
no
but no,
engagement, though.
I get so fucking mad about this. Any sport that you are competing against yourself and there happens to be somebody next to you, swimming, darts, Tetris, they do nothing in terms of actually like engaging with your opponent. It's just a personal best test. So I don't get why that's a competitive environment.
You mean like basically
I
any
do a
race?
little.
Yeah, any race. Yeah, races are the same thing. It's like at the end of the day, like if you're not interacting with your opponent, I'm very uninterested in it as a sport. I can look at it as like, you know, get a record,
Competition.
do your own personal best. But like doing well on race day, I don't give a shit about.
At least with running and driving, you can draft. Like there's a little bit more strategy.
There's a little
to
bit
other
with it.
people being there.
You can do that with running too, eh? I know
said,
with cars
yeah.
they do it, but
Yeah, I
like
said running
no,
or-
I'm asking that. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's especially in like long distance because it like really adds up. Like even if it's like really small marginal differences, like you're talking about.
So am I
really long
disadvantaged to
distances.
run because of my size then? Because I can't get as much of a
You're
draft?
just straight up disadvantaged to run.
Oh, thanks. All right.
Just right off the bat.
Well, it's funny though because like some of the really good long distance runners are like they're like 6'7" Kenyans. but,
Yeah,
like,
they're gonna be tall and skinny, but the thing is,
Yeah.
they're also running against other people like that.
Yeah.
So you're not disadvantaged because of your height per se.
Oh, there's a
But-
meta. There's a running meta that like other short runners are benefiting from my presence, and I'm not benefiting from theirs.
maybe
There's just-
I don't know that much.
I was actually
My
talk-
only context of this is watching Lightning McQueen. So like you gotta give me a little bit to go on.
I was arguing with somebody at
Ciao.
work the other day because they were talking about how it's not impressive when shorter guys can bench a lot because they have an easier time.
With
Yeah.
the leverage is like better. Yeah,
But that only goes so far. There's a reason that all the like best power lifters and the
6'8".
yeah, they're all tall guys because they just have
They have
stronger
more frame
bodies.
to put more muscle mass on.
At the beginning, you might have an easier
So
time.
slow to start. Yeah.
Yeah. Like shorter people might have an easier time, but they have a lower ceiling.
Mhm.
And it's kind of the
100%.
same thing with running. You just have a
Oh,
lower
okay.
ceiling.
That's interesting because I always heard
your
that like
stride
like
length's a
short
big
guys
deal.
going to the gym just get buff really fast.
Well, there's less like frame to pack meat onto, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
when you think about it, like and like again, like the leverage thing at the beginning, it just kind of means like it's kind of easier to like exert the muscle to like failure in a way.
I feel like
that's,
sometimes
beneficial to muscle growth.
sometimes I think of short people as like a foreign culture that I'm like getting exposed to. I don't have like the lived experience of like a short guy.
Yeah, that's fair, but I don't know what it's like to be like
I
even a little tall. So
I always feel so confused because there's that whole thing about girls want like if you're not 6 feet, don't talk to me, and like the taller you are, the more attractive you are. But I'll look up.
What are you saying about me? Are you about to
I'll
pivot
look
on
at
me?
straight up ugly guys that girls love because they're like 6'4", 6'6".
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't understand it. Like it's just because he's lanky.
Yeah.
It's so weird to me. I just cannot wrap
I
my mind
also
around
get
it.
confused by that dynamic because like it.
I do feel like it's maybe like exaggerated in how common it is, but it definitely is common enough where you
Enough
there's examples
girls-
to like point to.
I see
Enough
enough
girls
in
don't
my-
want to date a guy shorter than them. That like I think it is real.
I think that's
because
fair.
like
I
but
don't want to date a girl taller than
it's
me.
just
was
weird
kind of
'cause
where I was at.
You get to like 6'5", and girls are flocking to these guys, and I'm like, they're not good looking.
Well, they can't see that. They're all the way down there. Like
I don't understand it. I don't know what it is, but it's just they love it, and I can't wrap my head around it. I don't know what it is, but
well, to finish the second half of my answer.
Oh yeah, I
This is the
forgot they
show.
were talking
I
about
know
Eric.
Ian because we went to university together and we founded a club for competitive Smash Bros.
Yes.
And then we spent a lot of time not
A
studying
significant period of time.
instead of studying and doing classwork, playing Smash Bros. And yeah, that was
More or less everybody I bring onto the podcast, I know from like competitive gaming,
that's probably
real
fair.
competition, not competing against yourself.
yeah, like Digimon nowadays.
Like did you the game of solitaire?
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say competitive solitaire. That's individual sport, I think.
And so we started playing Digimon, right near the beginning of its life cycle, but it was during
About a
COVID.
year after.
It was 2021, right? You started playing
I can't believe it's been 3 years. Yeah, I think that's
BT4.
it was BT4 right going into BT5 pre-release. I was just kind of like, so there was I thought a My Hero Academia card game coming out, and I was trying to find out like when the decks were coming out.
Which did eventually come out.
It
We played
did,
that at
but
Gen
I
Con.
didn't realize it was just like a peripheral thing.
Yeah, it was
to,
like it was like a reskin of an existing card game.
It's like-
Universal Fighting.
yeah,
cards
it's like
or something?
universes or something.
Yeah, something
right.
like that.
So then I was like, well, that seems kind of lame because I was thinking it was going to be like its own thing. And then on the Black Knight Games website, it was like Digimon starter decks. I'm like, oh, how much are they? And they're like $20. And I was like, okay, no, you want to try this? And then I think I
Dude,
brought.
I remember when starter decks were $20.
Yeah,
Damn.
so I brought back. They were actually cheaper.
I know, but
were
they're like
$18.
20 bucks now.
We get 50 plus tax for like the structure decks.
crazy
No,
ones,
those are
yeah.
just for the advanced ones.
But that's the same thing. They're just in new starter decks.
But yeah, I got Venom Purple and Machine Black. I think.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
I got
no,
three of
you
them.
got
I
got all three.
I
but
got all three because I got the Izzy deck too, right?
I actually think
green
you
one?
only got green and black, and then later on we went out and got. The other
Oh,
ones.
yeah,
but
maybe
because
you're
I
right.
played the
The
green
Izzy
one,
yeah, that's true.
and you played the black one,
yeah,
and
then,
that's what I immediately.
Dude, you loved black, Eric. You were all about big blockers for a while.
dude. Well, okay. I just honestly the reason I really wanted to play black too was like I opened the pack that came with the starter deck, and Commandramon was in it. I got the BT4 rare Commandramon. I was like, this is sick. Like, is there more of these? And then black. Also, like the black starter deck was pretty good. Like for like relatively speaking for the starter deck power levels, right? Like purple was like clearly not very good.
Yeah, I really don't like the early design of purple.
Hold up. The best starter decks were green and purple.
I think that purple's fine, but I think purple, like, so much the starter deck was whatever. I didn't use most of the cards in the starter deck.
Right, that's fair. But
that Gabumon lived for a long time.
If you're just playing the starter decks against each other, I think green and purple come out on top.
I can get behind that on paper.
I didn't feel that way though when we were playing. But we also, when Noah and I started playing, we had like no idea how half the rules would work. So like we were using the inheritables as like that Digimon's like effect. Like I remember like being like, man, Togemon's freaking disgusting. He all he needs is like Tentamon or whatever underneath him, and he's got like 8 KDP as a champion.
Oh, he's just swinging into the champ.
Which I mean now that's like normal, but like back then it was like you're swinging over my like ultimates. I don't understand.
Yeah, we were playing very much like other card games where when you put a card down, you're playing a card. So like, you put a Tentomon down, you activate its.
I mean, I actually think the language of Digivolve and play is like bad. I really don't like that the word play is used for putting a card down separate of a Digivolve.
Yeah, I think there was definitely. I think we had some confusion with like that stuff too. Like probably like triggering some abilities, like not really understanding like what the actual like timing of things was. But like regardless, we were like, this is so sick. Like we thought it was really cool. And then you probably went and looked it up or something, and we were like, oh yeah, we've been doing this wrong.
Yeah, I started like looking into the rule set and be like,
so how long were you guys playing? Because like spoiler, honestly, Eric also introduced me to the card game.
We had been playing for like I want to say like 3 months before you started playing.
Okay. Oh wow, I thought it was a lot longer than that.
No,
it wasn't too long.
Because you started in BT5.
Yeah, I started in BT5. I was my original Anubismon Chaos Gallant deck, and then.
So yeah, but like we basically like realized like this is like also how I found out how many card shops were in Hamilton, which like,
there's quite a few.
Was
I mean,
way
it's
more
kind of
than I
popping.
was expecting. So like we kind of like we showed like Zach and Sean, like Noah's friends, and they thought it was pretty cool. And then we started looking like where we could buy like more than just like the starter decks, and then like we went to like Dark Fox and Black Knight and whatever, and then like.
What was that one place in Ancaster?
System Minis?
No,
Breakaways.
Breakaway, because it used to be over like that way, and now
we found
farther.
Eric would spend his days at work looking up card stores, and I was working in a restaurant, so my days were a lot more free. So he'd send me the card stores, and I'd go check them out.
Go check them out? Oh my god!
So
I remember that you were for a while. Like
I was
you
like
were my
Mr.
source.
Price. I was like I had to figure out where my best local card store was for any set. And like at one point I was like, okay, because we got in during BT4, right, going into BT5. I was looking at like what good cards were, and there was a lot of stuff in like the BT 1 to 3, like the VMons, like the VMons were a big one, like HPD.
Now, was that a big growth period for the game? Because it does feel like a lot of our scene for the next like year was like started around BT5.
It must have been.
That's about when it started to be easier to get product, because before, right around the time we started, BT1, like 1.0 and 1.5 were like 210, 250.
Oh my god!
And it started to drop really quickly.
With that too, because like I wanted to get those, and we couldn't get it at pretty much any local shop unless we wanted to pay like 230, 250. I mean,
or
whatever.
I more or less like can't justify paying more than like 120 a box, and to be honest, I just don't buy boxes anymore. Like
no, but at the beginning, like
singles.
that was half the fun too, because
like
you weren't even competing really, right?
Yeah, you were just opening packs, and 1.0 and 1.5. You were not getting consistent rates. Like cards were all over the place.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I remember I bought 1.0 for 180 because I was like, oh, it's $70 off.
Yeah.
It's so cheap.
And so that was around the time where we started getting more product. And so I think that was a big growth period there.
Mm-hmm. I remember when One Piece first came out that like a lot of the Digimon scene was looking into it and considering getting into the game, and they got like a case and they were selling off boxes, like one of our buddies. And it's like, hey, in order to make my money back, I'm going to have to sell them for like 200. And that's off of a private sale, not through a store, no HST. And I'm like, this is crazy that like this is going for 200. And then more or less everybody who opened a box at the time made more than their money back.
Do you know what those boxes are selling for now?
An unopened 1.0 of One Piece, I bet.
460 if I had to guess.
Over $1,000.
Yeah, I was actually gonna say. I think the opposite
for
direction.
Sealed,
Boxes.
I was
Oh
gonna
my
say over
gosh.
500, but over 1,000 is crazy already.
yeah.
Like that, like a couple of years from now, maybe. But like
It's
now,
been a year.
still.
Yeah,
but the
that's-
cards, like they've been power crapped, haven't they? Like
I don't
I
keep
mean,
up with
I-
One
I'm
One
Piece
pretty
Piece
meta.
definitely has like Pokemon syndrome, where it's like the cards that are worth more are probably worth more because of the fans of
because of the
those,
history.
those
Yeah.
things. Than
Like
they
there's
are
a
'cause
few
of the
cards
meta.
that like in like the third set were from the first set were still like really good, but like my knowledge of the game was that like as they were introducing stuff, they were definitely power creeping black, power creeping yellow.
I mean, probably. I don't know a lot about One Piece other than like Damien.
Yeah,
Yeah, like he collects a bunch of One Piece stuff because he's a huge One Piece
Sure.
fan, and like I'll see him get cards graded, and I'm like, I don't think he actively plays the game. Really, like
I've never seen him post about playing.
He,
Yeah,
he did go to the one event, the One Piece event in Niagara, the
Yeah.
regional or whatever. But yeah, like he probably has like a bunch of like sealed product and stuff, and like it feels like, to me, it feels very much like the price is driven by people like him more than it is by people.
I
Going
do
to
think
locals and
collectors
stuff.
are like honestly, I really wish. I mean, I've talked about this before. I wish that the resale value of every card was $0. Because I think that like the only reason we have these inflation is because of this speculative issue and collectors, and I would much rather buy a $60 box and be like, I'm gonna get $0 for this later, but my upfront cost was zero. It was like
With
half.
60 or whatever, yeah,
Um,
and that's it.
And I'd love to live in that dynamic. I hate having cards be like an investment piece that like I have to look at every valuable card I have and go, do I A, sell it, B, seal it somewhere, or C, run it and accept that I'm degrading its value
Yeah,
and I'm going to have an issue selling it later?
I'm always C.
I try and live C, but I can admit that like internally I feel bad about it sometimes.
That's
Yeah.
fair. But
When
I
I
know
won
that-
my winter Beelzemon, I could have sold it the next day, and in retrospect I wish I had.
I know that how you want buying cards, like the dynamic of it to be. That's basically how I live it, even though I just have to pay money for it.
I know, but it's just that we then pay a premium, and essentially every card game player has to exist like we're a gacha game whale.
I wonder if there'd ever be a scenario, like I probably don't think so, but like with like sports cards in like the 80s and the 90s, what they used to do at the end of like the print run for that like season of the sport, they would just be like, here's every card in a box. You can buy the box that has every single like
God,
but without the special edition stuff.
a
like the-
master
like-
set product for each set would feel so good.
Yeah, with just it wouldn't have like the alt arts and stuff, so it wouldn't like devalue the like special cards that you'd open. Like you wouldn't get the.
I mean, it
ghost
still
rares or
would
anything.
devalue, but like it would devalue in a way that like would hopefully not be harmful.
It wouldn't devalue
The collector's
alt arts.
aspect, yeah.
It would devalue like super rares and secrets.
Which I think.
I mean,
that
realistically,
should happen to me.
Alt art pricing is a finicky thing because like
Yeah.
the value of a card from my point of view is largely determined by the quality of the card, the use case of the card in the game. The value of the alt art is kind of divorced from that. It's a lot more associated with like just the appeal of the alt art as an individual product to own, not
Yeah.
necessarily its power as a card. If it's good and it's a nice alt art, that will obviously push it higher.
Magnum.
But you can just be a nice card that's awful in the card game and be expensive. And you could be a bad art that's very useful in the card game and be expensive.
and it's funny because for some cards like Rune Mode, there's like a $10 difference between the alt art and the regular art,
Yeah.
which is crazy because it's such a good card. So the regular art's so expensive, and then the alt art is just only $10 more
Yeah.
because
Because it's already driven up the price so much because of how in demand the card is, right?
and you've also got like an increased chance of getting the alt art over top of the regular art. But it's just interesting because
Really?
I think
Yeah,
I know what you're
because-
saying. Can I guess? Like, is it because like you've got a guaranteed pull of like the alt art and there's less alt arts than
But
there
there's
are,
only like, but there's like
super
at
rares
least
or-
20 alt arts, right? In that set? Or how many are there?
there's a lot, but you get 3 alt art slots per box.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And then there's a 25% chance of getting it just a regular art.
As a regular art.
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess that's fair. That's interesting to think. I do think it's still probably more likely to get the regular than the alt, assuming there's like an even distribution. But
It is more likely to get the regular than the alt, but I just mean that there's a
for-
lot more alts in the market than Magnamon X alts
yes, exactly.
Oh, okay.
in a regular set alt art secret. So,
We are in an era of like, because Ruin Mode and now the the golden armor Digimon, where secrets are fucking expensive.
I mean, secrets used to be relatively expensive.
If
And
they
this-
were good.
Exactly.
$80
That's-
expensive. These are up there right now.
Wasn't Death X-Mon like $80?
Yeah, Death X was.
That's when I like stopped playing.
and
but
Lucimon. Well,
Oh,
Death X
Lucimon was,
fluctuated a lot.
$100 at one point.
Lucimon was very
BT5.
expensive. But then we had an era of a lot of bad secrets,
Yes.
and that's just kind of we got used to secrets.
You
being
trying to say
low.
something about Creepymon?
Yeah,
Oh yeah.
low value secrets. But they've started printing good secrets again, which incentivizes people to buy boxes because they feel like they can resell stuff. But that makes it so much more painful for someone who wants to play a deck and they feel like they need 4 secrets or
Yeah.
8 secrets.
Well, that-
I right now feel like I'm being bullied into only playing Numemon because I'm looking at all the good decks and I'm like, what are the costs of entry to get any of these decks? And it's like, okay, so do I want to get the $100 a copy secrets from this set? No. Do I want to get the promo insects? No. Do I want to get? I mean, I already have my Mons, so like that helps a lot for Nume to like get into it. But like, even if I didn't have them, we're talking about like $100 deck.
This was like part of the reason I stopped playing was when BT9 was coming out. I knew Death X-Mon was going to be relevant for the next little while, even if he was going to get hit potentially. And I bought 2 boxes of BT9 and I opened 0 Death X-Mons, and I was like, I do not want to spend effectively 2 more boxes worth of money for a playset of 1 card. And then like I had some priority shift and stuff too, and then it was just like I
will say,
I don't think I can do this
Thank
anymore.
God a Pokemon hit was announced before the product released. Imagine if people were fucking hunting that card and then it got hit.
I will say BT9 was probably Death X-Mon's worst format.
It
It was the format it was released. It was its worst one.
But everyone was anticipating how good it was going to be, in like BT11 or whatever.
But Death X-Mon, while expensive, you never really ran more than 2
No.
or 3 in the deck. What we're looking at now in BT16
Get a playset.
is a playset of Magnamon X, and if you're playing like the top yellow vaccine deck, probably like 3 Rapidmon or 4 Rapidmon X. So it's like you're looking at 7 to 8 secrets in a deck
Yeah. So
that
like,
are all way more expensive than Death X ever was. And
like a non-blinged deck could definitely hit like $1,000 if you were playing at launch.
in general,
That's stupid.
Digimon has gotten a lot more expensive per deck. Just
Yeah,
across the board.
Like when you guys are showing me decks these days, like I'm like astonished how many promo cards are like sneaking into decks, and like I don't know how much more available they are compared to like when I was playing, but like promos were not that easy to come by if you weren't like actively participating in like online events.
I mean,
Promo
Ukomons were a
avail-
headache for a while.
Promo availability is a lot better. It's not great, but it's a lot better than it was. Because before we're talking about like you wanted that Diaboromon or that Pulsemon, you had to
my
play in a big
gosh, I
event.
remember Ian trying to get Diaboromon stuff. That was a freaking headache.
I mean, it is the most unconscionable purchase I made at the time, which was I paid $200 to get my playset of promo Diaboromons because I was like, I want to play this deck. It's available right now. I don't know when it's gonna drop. I'm gonna just commit.
Yeah.
Promos are considered expensive now when they're at $20 to $50, which is quite expensive.
Yeah, that was
But Pulsemon used to be like $80.
I was about to say Pulsemon. That was like you were like when they finally did drop to like $25 after that one. Was it Ultimate Cup where they just started like printing them over and over and over?
Yeah, they were
again?
giving out 2 for participation.
Yeah, then I was like, oh, I can finally like just go to a online event and just get the Pulsemon. Like it stopped even becoming like I have to pay for Pulsemons. I can just enter a tournament and that'll be part of my prizing.
So I know a lot of people don't think this, but promos did get a lot better. But it is frustrating because they fluctuate between making either bad promos that you just don't want or good promos that they give you great access to, like the trainings. I think they did a great job with the trainings.
Yeah.
Just giving you 1 of each per box.
Yeah,
Like-
they became very accessible and like they were still like $5 a copy, but like you could get your playset.
The Ukomon promos were also pretty accessible. You just got 2 per box, along with a bunch of other promos.
Sure, yeah. Eventually they became available, but like,
Right off the bat.
were they right away?
When you bought a
I
BT14
couldn't find them
box,
for so long. I kept looking for them.
That's because you didn't buy any BT14.
Yeah, 'cause
you
I
were
don't know
also
if I
barely playing around that time.
That's true. I guess I have to admit the timing of when I was looking for it was a bit finicky. I talking about expensive cards though. I'm not going to dox anyone as I say this, but I realize I want to tell you guys something. I currently have paid, let's just say $50 for a variety of yellow vaccine cards that were shipped to me apparently, and I've not received them. And I've told the guy, hey, check if it's returned to sender. I haven't heard back from him. And I'm like, I don't know how to proceed right now. Because, like, I just don't have my cards. I've given him $50 and I don't have my cards.
It's local to your community, or?
I don't know the guy personally, but he's, like, in Brampton.
I don't know. Just talk to... I would... Honestly, I would hit up Alex and talk to him.
You could also do the classic, this guy's a scammer post.
Well, that's the thing is, like,
Facebook page.
I don't want to believe that. But, like, if I see him posting anything else, I'm like,
Where's my
like,
stuff?
what do I do here?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I want the cards or the money, but, like, I need this, and, like, I need this to be over, like, you know?
Yeah.
I would just talk to, like, people in your community that have dealt with him. It's funny. I actually got.
I'm presuming he's not. Like, I actually did a check. People said he was a fine guy.
Yeah.
But, like, what do I do here?
But that's what I mean. Like, ask them what to do because they're all a lot more familiar with buying and selling cards in the community. It's funny. Kiki messaged me the other day and asked me if I knew Hassan.
Yeah.
He's like, "You trust him?" I was like, "Oh yeah, he's great. Pillar of the Hamilton community." And because Hassan was like, "I'm buying that Emperor Greymon off you," and so. He didn't have the funds yet. So Kiki's like, I'll give it to him now if you think he's good for it. I was like, yeah, he's good for it. Hassan immediately drove there, picked up the card. He's
such a lover of Red Hybrid.
Oh,
dude.
he loves it. He loves it. And Belphemon too, which is like
a weird combination.
Yeah.
I mean, I like Belphemon too, but I also just think that, like, Belphemon, I got really excited when it came out because it felt like...
Too?
Sorry?
Am I thinking the right person?
No, Hassan doesn't really play Leopardmon.
Who's that?
No, Leopardmon. I actually don't know who played Leopardmon that you would...
Back when you played?
Yeah.
You're talking about Blue Leopardmon?
Yeah.
Like I played some Blue Leopardmon. We one of our early creations was a Blue Leopardmon.
That was
deck.
when we came to your house and did BT8 pre-release.
I love
All
that.
3 of us were there.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was a good time. Honestly, I brought 6 or 7 decks today. I miss just like hanging out and playing.
I actually also have like 8 decks in my car.
Yeah. Because what I really want is for Eric to see the power level that we're at now, and also just like see the crazy new cards we have. You were always a big D Brigade fan, and
the fact D Brigade's so good now and I don't play is kind of like, it kind of sucks.
And Magnamon.
I know. Well, okay,
all your favorite
I can't
decks,
afford Magnamon anyway.
All your favorite decks have been getting love.
I know.
It's basically what it is BT8 was the set for you, and we're at BT8 Part 2. Yeah, it's BT16. It's BT8 Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. No, BT8 was like Digimon's last gift to me. I was waiting. I remember like when the game came out, I'm a big like Armor Digivolve guy. I love all the Vmon Armor Digivolves. And I was like, I just need a Magnamon card so bad. Like, it's all I want. And then BT8 came out and I was so happy. And I liked the deck. The deck was fun to play. And it was actually pretty good. And then, I don't know. I just like...
It's crazy how long we had to wait for a Magnamon card.
It is, but at the same time, like, it feels silly to be like, we started playing at BT5 and it only came out like 4 sets later. And now we're at BT16. But at the same time, like... It did feel like...
Well, he was just such a classic Digimon, and it was like 2 years before we got one.
Yeah. Well, like, I mean, if you ask a lot of people, especially like in North America, like everyone really likes O2. Like O2's like, for some people, it's like their favorite like season of Digimon, right? So like the fact it took, 2 years for us to get any of like the Armor Digivolves was ridiculous.
Well, we got all the Imperial Dramon stuff before it. We got the second half of O2 before the first half.
I know, it was weird. Yeah, because like Vmon had like what 4 or 5 Vmons by the time like we got to BT8 at that point. So,
and then they gave us all the Vmon. Well, not all of them, but like the main Vmon.
The ones from the show, right? Like,
the ones that you know, and not the random ones like Sethmon.
Sethmon,
which we just got.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which is a really cool card. Great for Fenrir.
I think he's so fucking cool, but. It's just like it allows you to essentially like boost your DP and then like kill something that has a lower DP on the opponent's side. Okay. And you kill yourself, but it's a armor purge.
Well, you can kill anything.
Yeah, but it's designed to be like boost your own DP, attempt to kill yourself, and then kill something of theirs, and then armor purge yourself, right?
Well, what was really fun in the pre-release is if you had a Pheromon out, Pheromon's, I don't know if it was all turns or your turn, but it's when a Digimon's deleted, you can play out a level 5 or lower undead or dark animal.
Yeah.
And so you had an infinite loop with the Sethmon.
It's once per turn, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all Sethmon doesn't have rush. I just mean like you'd play out Sethmon, you delete either yourself or the opponent. If they had Armor Purge, you could just choose to delete yourself and play it back out.
That's true. Yeah.
And so every turn you could be swinging that and deleting something.
That's true. That is actually genuinely good. I think I look at all of those cards like Pheromon and Mammothmon, and I think like, is there a way to make this cook? But the reality is that like a tribal solid package is just better than like an individual good card that has the ability to summon creatures.
Yep. But I do think that like Pauper is so fun right now.
Pauper? Yeah, I believe it.
Like
entirely.
commons and uncommons are great right now.
Well, why don't we should play Pauper more? Like I love Pauper as a format.
Yeah, I just feel like we don't even play Digimon that much anymore together.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. You know what it is? Number one, again, I've been banned. I've been banned from talking about it. I want you to know that I've been talking so much about Castlevania. I played 21 games.
Okay, wait. That's not why.
I actually don't know if that's true. 21. It's probably like 15.
That's not why you haven't been playing Digimon. Let's talk about the 1,300 hours you spent playing another franchise.
Trails.
Castlevania.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that like I was halfway through Trails when we started the podcast, and like fucking every evening I'd be like, okay, work's over. I kiss Julia on the forehead and I go, don't fucking talk to me for the next 6 hours because I gotta grind.
And he says he's not a lone wolf.
To be fair, like a big part of his Trails experience was talking to two of our buddies about it.
Oh yeah, my essays. Too, right? I think I have like over 100,000 words of like text that I've written to them about my opinions on the franchise.
So funny.
Well, I think a big reason we don't play Digimon as much is you moved away. And when we do see each other, we just spend so much time on the podcast.
Well, also,
so you're blaming the audience. You're saying, "Hey, listen, guys, this is your fault."
I hate you all.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, nothing to say about that. You're getting married or whatever, too. That
doesn't help.
Well, now we're not even having time for the podcast because I'm just, and now I'm traveling for work too. It's just all.
I'm just saying, the wedding. It's making it harder to record episodes. It's making you miss the regional. Cancel your wedding.
But once it's over. Back on that Digimon grind. It's so conveniently timed. I get to miss BT16. I get to miss Magnamon X.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, I still think this format is fun. I just hate what Magnamon X represents. I know Numamon, well, I consider Numamon best deck in format.
I think it is too. That's why I'm playing
I would rather face Numamon than face Magnamon X. I don't hate Magnamon X because I think it's too good of a card. I hate it because of what it represents.
I'll say playing Numamon right now, especially against Magnamon X, I've never felt this very, very clear dynamic of like either I win or the timer goes off and they've got the Magnamon X on field and I'm like, all right, it's over. Like I very much feel like if I miss my opportunity to win at the start of the game, I'm just like working towards my own death.
Well, and Numamon has the best answer to Magnamon X.
The DP minus that lasts across turns?
Yeah. The problem is that Numamon's going to struggle to get a wide board once they start getting Rapidmons out.
Yeah. Yeah, Rapidmon is annoying.
Yeah, Rapidmon X, kind of crazy. But Rapidmon X is such a crazy card. And then I look at it and think, oh, I can actually do something about this. It can be removed from the field. That's so crazy. Because you get used to Magnamon X and it's just there and you might as well not look at it. You just can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
And before anyone starts freaking out, I know that there are ways to do things about it, but they're so minimal compared to every other thing in the game. And it bums me out because a lot of decks won't have a way around it. And maybe you get to higher DP than it and it doesn't block you. You still are going to have to deal with it the next turn. So I hope you have a consistent way to DP boost. And also, right now, there's 2 good ways in the game to deal with Magnamon X. You either DP minus it until their turn, end of their turn.
Yep, which is very few cards do that.
Which is Numamon. Like, Numamon has that advantage, which is part of what brings it up to one of the best decks in the format. Or you completely ignore it with Mac Galgamon from BT13. You can't be redirected.
Yes.
I hate that the 2 options are completely ignore it or have this very specific interaction to deal with it. I mean, you can get into Tyrant Kabuterimon, where you've got a redirection and you're way higher DP than it. But battle deletion is not great when they have Armor Purge.
Yes.
Like, what you're relying on is them running out of Magnamon X's.
I have a question, which is, I just want to clarify something about ruling. This might be too complicated to keep on the podcast, but I had it happen in the event I played recently. Venusmon
stops Magnamon X.
It does stop its even if it's not being triggered as a when digivolving, it's being triggered from a card being removed from security. It still stops that effect from triggering.
Yeah, because you're triggering a when digivolving effect.
That's I understand that, but it's so wild because the trigger is not when digivolving. It's just like it just feels like it's triggering the effect that normally is triggered by when digivolving.
Well, that effect triggers still.
Sorry?
That effect triggers still. It still activates.
Yeah.
But what that effect reads is you can now activate your when digivolving effect. So that bottom one, the all turns effect triggers.
Yeah.
Activates. You go to do your when digivolving, you don't.
Yeah, it's just so funny to me that like because you also have protection from other people's. Well, no, you don't have it. You don't have protection yet
Because it lasts till the end of.
Yeah, it's so funny.
So you have protection from all effects. Venusmon goes on the board, goes back to your turn. You lose that protection. You go to activate that protection. You activate your effect, which activates your when digivolving. You don't get it because of Venusmon.
Because VS1 stops the activation from like resolving. Yeah, it's a funny little card game we play.
Yeah, it's definitely gotten a lot more interesting. And again, I don't think Magnamon X is ruining the format.
No.
I
think we've had a lot worse formats.
What I do think is it's something bad for the game. And so a local member of our community brought up how in Battle Spirits they started introducing cards like this, and then they started introducing effects that say if your opponent like ignores effects, ignore that text. So it's like
that's so dumb.
Yeah,
I don't
so
want to play rock paper scissors.
It's like, oh, I ignore this effect. Well, I ignore you ignoring this effect, and then we just keep going down the rabbit hole.
When you're like 10 years old on like the playground, and you're like, I use like
my Ultra Mega Sword. Yeah,
I use Ultra Mega Sword. And it's like, well, I have shield that blocks Ultra Mega Sword. And it's like, well, I have like.
I have the hammer that breaks the shield. I got you.
That's what we're getting to.
Yeah, I would never want to deal with that kind of thing. Like that just.
I hope we don't have that dynamic where like I actually didn't know that Battle Spirits started introducing ignore card ignoring effects. But
that's Japanese Battle Spirits, so not
that's not our game. Yeah.
But still, it's the same company, right? And Battle Spirits didn't start out with Magnamon X level effects.
No, Battle Spirits. I mean, in North America, Battle Spirit Saga started out very reasonable, and then it ramped up a little bit. I think once we learned that Battle Spirits everything had Rush, that is a wild design decision.
Yeah, that made it less enjoyable.
I think if that was the only rule change, and like there's some rebalancing to facilitate that, I would enjoy the game infinitely more. Everything having Rush is just like
it doesn't sound very fun.
Games are just won like in such a flash.
There were it was such a weird dichotomy because there were those Rush decks like red aggro, and purple aggro, But then it felt like so few mid range. It was either you were super aggro or you were insane control because the control pieces were so powerful.
Yes, they were extremely
Gnomon
good.
Garden was so nuts. You just get an extra refresh step, which is basically just do the start of your turn steps again.
Yeah,
and then it's your opponent's turn. So all your stuff unsuspense, you get all your mana back. It's your opponent's turn now.
And remember, White also had access to the undisputed best card at the time, Absolute Ice Shield.
Yep. And
also
also
ice cards being busted
because they're like designed to stop the game for a turn.
An ice wall.
It's not that they are busted, but it's like let's slow the game down. And people are like, I don't want to stop. I don't want to slow down. Yeah.
I mean, that was crazy because I've never seen a card game include the text, your opponent's turn ends. Like,
that's what it said?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god.
It ends it after the attack. The opponent's turn just ends.
So like they might drop like 3 creatures and then like start attacking and you go, no problem. At the end of this attack, your turn's over.
Oh my goodness. That's crazy.
You did still take the life though. So if it was your last life, you were dead. But
there was wacky things like Elk, where Elk you'd go down to 0, and then Elk would return a life to you.
No. You're misremembering it a little bit.
That one couldn't do 0.
You couldn't go to 0.
Oh, that's right. Sorry, that's right.
But what Elk did?
Oh yeah, I remember this.
Was if you didn't lose a life, then your opponent lost a life.
Yes. So you could lose a life and then recover a life because Absolute Ice Shield also healed 1, and so that count. You took a damage, but you healed it. And all it does is it checks your number of life remaining. It doesn't care if you took damage. It checks your number of life remaining. So Elk would be like, I started with 4 HP. I ended with 4 HP. Therefore, I did not take damage this turn. Therefore, you actually take damage this turn.
Which I actually hate the idea of. It's kind of like if you had a card in Digimon that said, if one of your opponent's Digimon suspended during their turn, get this effect at the start of your turn. and because they have reboot, you don't get that effect.
Yeah, that would be
Even though
so
they did
crazy.
It's like the
suspend.
card is playing like red light, green light. Like if you weren't moving while the card was looking at you, then like
That's exactly
Yeah.
what
nothing,
it is. It's
nothing
crazy.
happened.
I mean, it's a shame because, like, again, like you had cards like that, and then you also had cards like one of my favorite fucking cards in the world in any card game is fucking what was his name? Belphegor.
Yep.
Belphegor is when something on my field dies from trash, I can summon him, and so
By
like
paying the cost. You pay the cost.
Oh,
So you
okay.
pay the
I was
cost of
gonna
summoning him.
say,
And-
It sounds like a Yu-Gi-Oh card.
and
otherwise.
he was just like a really interesting card because he also on play would help me delete something on my opponent's side of the field. So like it would just be like I'd put down like a 4-cost blocker, and then I'd block with it and just go no problem, block, and then Belphegor hits the field and kills something else and like stops them from having lethal.
Part of the craziness of that too was when something died, you got the cores back from it.
Yes,
They didn't go to the trash. They only went to the trash if you like spent cores on them, spent cores playing a card. So you block with something, it's deleted, and you're like, cool, I get these cores back. I will now spend them to play Belphegor from
Yes.
trash.
I think the mana system we talked about this before. It's not loyalty. What's the term that we use for devotion? The mana system in that game is just devotion, where you could pay 0 for a card just because you happen to have enough cards of the right color on field already.
Oh, interesting.
Well, you can never pay 0 though.
There were 0-cost cards, but there you had to
had
attach.
to pay 1.
No,
So
you
everything's a
paid
warlock.
0. You attached a core because if you chose to take it off, you still had that mana.
Right.
So it's
But
like
you had to have a mana attached to this card for it to live.
Yes, it was like Dawn, where like
Yep.
you could put Dawn under cards, but then you could also take Dawn out and still use it as mana. That's how I would describe it.
But not after you attached it.
In Battle Spirits, you could,
Yeah, in Battle Spirits,
but not
in
Dawn.
One Piece.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying that our audience likely will know more One Piece mechanics than
Yeah.
they know
But
Battle Spirits.
Battle Spirits mana mechanic was very interesting because it was just so freeform. At any point, you could be like, all right, I've got 7 things on field.
I'm gonna kill 4 of them
Yeah, I'm going to kill all of them to play this one option from my hand.
that cost 7,
Yeah.
and you're just like, yep.
And if you have no cores on it, it dies, but that's the price I'm willing to pay. That's the price they're willing to pay.
Yeah, and like it was such a weird dynamic with the game where like every deck had the ability to be rainbow because like the rules around if you just said I'm gonna pay the full cost, I'm not gonna get any devotion discount, then you can just be like I'm gonna just play this purple card in this white deck, and in fact that's what people did because there was a purple card that was like pay 6, whenever something dies, draw a card, and it's like
Yeah, there was a lot of rainbow decks. At Nats, the meta was just rainbow decks.
yes.
Because they started introducing rainbow devotion cards that counted as a symbol.
Which
for
is,
everything.
in my opinion, a little crazy.
Yeah.
I
But
get it
everyone-
because like they didn't want there to be like an absolute ice shield that was like the best card in the format was for one color
But everyone was running absolute ice shield.
at 4 or sometimes at 3, but
Yeah.
like it was very very good.
Almost everyone was running Star Blessed Draw, which was just it was a 4-cost draw 2.
Red card that draws 2, yeah.
Yeah.
But you could
But-
trigger it from your trap zone.
Yeah, you could if you triggered it from your trap zone, it would be free, and then you could pay 2 to draw 2 more.
Yes.
So you were deciding like, do I want to draw 2 or wait for them to trigger it and then I can draw 4, which is
The lot of
good.
draw.
Yeah, because it's not like Digimon where you have a lot of cards in hand.
Digimon definitely like kind of spoils you with like.
Yeah, I don't want to play
other
other card games.
No, I mean like having played Hearthstone a ton, like did feel bad when you'd be like, oh, I just like popped off this turn, and then my opponent played like Brawl or like Twisting Nether or something. Well, no one plays Twisting Nether, but like they just like wipe your board, and you're like, okay, like I have like 0 chance at like generating any card draw now because I don't have like.
I did like that
Any
like
tools.
you were punished for overextending. I feel like I can't really be punished for overextending in Digimon.
No.
I mean, you can, but not in the
Your main punishment is like, oh, I had a stack in the back and now I have nothing in the back.
Yeah.
That's like what getting punished in Digimon is.
Mm-hmm.
And in Hearthstone, you start with 3 cards in hand,
Yeah,
which is just so low.
it's so. No, it's,
I'm a little surprised that Digimon, maybe you'll correct me, there is a not popular card that's doing this, but I'm surprised in Digimon there is not any mechanics that like force them to come out of raising yet.
I don't want to play a game like that. I mean, I don't play Digimon anymore, but like that sounds scary. I gotta.
It
like,
just
come
feels
here.
like it just feels like there's like still there's sections of the game which is to just say your opponent's hand in most situations and they're breeding. that are just like they're just safe. They're just immune to effects.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
like,
hands been
Hands been getting more and more affected. Soon we will have a 1-cost Thoughtseize.
Mirage
breeding we
Go
still
gone.
never touch. The only time we like see breeding is
When you come out of
seemingly
breeding.
Yeah. No, but the general consensus from the Reddit, is
So
that
the objective best place for opinions.
exactly. If there was a way to force your opponent out of raising, it would make Gallantmon too powerful.
I hate this. Don't talk about Gallantmon's never gonna be powerful.
Because they think Gallantmon just has so much deletion that the only way to defeat it is to OTK out of raising.
Okay.
It's an objectively bad take considering almost every other deck has more deletion than Gallantmon at this point.
Yes.
Gallantmon is the deletion deck, and Numamon will do it better. Red Hybrid will do it better. Fenrir Lugamon will do it better. Like everyone will do it better than Gallantmon.
What does it feel like to have like your favorite Digimon like constantly get support and it never be good?
It's so funny because nobody would ever think like, oh, Gallantmon is my favorite Digimon because I never touched the deck.
I mean, but meanwhile, like I love Magnamon and like he's just an
good.
amazing card every single time.
What it would be like to be a Greymon player.
Oh my gosh, freaking what's his name? Sean? No.
Sean McCool or
yeah, Sean.
Yeah. But
that guy's having the time of his life when we were playing. It's like, oh, another Greymon.
no, I've been suffering because I've been wanting Magna Garurumon support, and we finally got some, and it's just bad. And then they gave us more, and it was just bad again.
Yeah, because we're getting a lot of like also weird support cards that are like, off color tamers. Like a lot of decks are changing colors.
The new hybrid stuff is rainbow. They want you to be rainbow.
It's like hunters now.
It is very much like hunters. It's like hunters if the main like hunter for like the main tamer for both decks was in one tamer.
Yeah.
So it's like hunters, except with hunters you very clearly wanted to stick to 3 colors out of the 6. You're either doing these 3 or
Yeah,
you're
like
doing
there's
these
2
3.
packages and they can kind of intermix.
Well, you were
but
showing me like that one card that got revealed. It's got like 3 colors on it now.
Yeah,
right?
The new Magna Garurumon and Emperor are both 3 colors. Also, Magnamon X is 3 colors:
He is. What colors is he?
black, yellow, blue.
See, I didn't even look at him because I saw there's like 10 arts or something crazy for Magnamon. And
Yeah,
I was
he's
like,
got 3 arts right now. Yeah. I mean, Vmon cards always have a ton of arts.
see, I was eating pretty good as a Vmon guy, but
The problem is that when it comes to watching shows or liking characters, I almost always like the fire characters, but I hate Red and Digimon. It's so boring.
yeah, Red honestly super boring. At least like when I played, like I did not like the like it was like effectively like ignore your opponent and like swing for victory. Like especially like when we got to was it Emperor Greymon? Who was it? No, what was the
Ancient
Greymon? Like that was freaking that was so uninteractive. Like it was just like hope that they don't like swing for like 6 checks by like turn 3 and then like
and
have a good time to set up.
The few ways we had to interact with raising was like Sakuyamon, give them -3 security checks.
Yeah.
But you would just stay in the back and keep building up to the point where you had more sources to do that. Like you'd have 9 checks and you'd go -3, like, okay, I still check 6 and then Blitz Omni for game.
Yeah, that was really boring. And then like even playing it's not that fun. Like it's just like I don't know, like I like the whole fun of card games is like trying to like interact with my opponent's strategy. So when it turns into like, ooh, I'm playing solitaire back here, like well you like do whatever. Like as long as you don't like finish the game before me, like I'm chilling. Like that was kind of what Red was for a lot of like the lifespan while I was playing. Like there was some Red decks that were like kind of fun. Like I had like a Greymon like deck that was like
before Greymon was really getting support. You were playing Greymon.
Yeah, and he wasn't that good, which was why it was fun. And like Blitz Omni was a thing then.
Well, BT5 Greymon was not a good deck.
No, it wasn't very good, but it was like fun. I won a couple.
BT6 Agubond, that was a fun Greymon deck. Because you'd have promo Greymon just swinging 2 checks at 7k, or maybe you'd lightning just it a couple times and do 4 checks at 13k. That's funny.
Yeah.
I think I'm always going to be a big fan of like what D Brigade was and what the Bonds did, where
I love
it's
D
like
Brigade.
Rookie Rush with like a super high end guy that you could cheat out, like Dark Dramon or the Bond of Friendship. That's really fun to me,
dude. I mean, this is also why I was a black player like a lot. Was like I just love the weird little tribal, like black tribal is always like funny looking guys, which I think is like kind of appealing, which is like I like the Edamon like Super Zoo that was like terrible. Like, but it was just like
It was pretty bad. Let's be
it
real.
was like I get to cheat out Metal Edamon like once in a while, and it was like, haha, look at
When it cheated out, it felt great. And like I think Edamon actually, you probably would have enjoyed the fact that Edamon got to eat good for a while.
Edamon has been along with D Brigade. Edamon has been getting a lot of support, and it's been getting some good cards too. Like the BT15 Edamon.
Yes, it's very good.
Did they ever give more support to like Sukamon and like Chumon and all that stuff? Because like I
They
remember,
did, because it's part of the Edamon package.
Yeah, because like I just remember like early prints of cards would be like, oh, like cheat out like Chumon. It was like there's only one like Chumon.
There's one
Like, it's,
Chumon
like,
in the game. Yeah.
Like I run like 60 cards here. Like how relevant is it that I could cheat out 3 other cards in my deck with this thing?
I would say that Edamon got significantly more support than Numamon. Numamon just got like
The support.
the crazy card support. Because they feel like comparable decks, they're both kind of like
Mhm.
you got poop monkeys and you've got like slugs and bears. Slug bears.
Dude, I love black. This is so dumb. Like,
And like Edamon just kept getting more support in my opinion, but slug bears just had the crazy support. And they both got like black yellow access,
Yeah.
which is a pretty crazy combo.
yes,
Because you have
that was-
access to
that was like
Venus
never
Mon
a
and-
thing when I was playing. Like black yellow was like
It was relegated to security control.
yeah, and no one likes that. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of reeling. I hate the word slug bear coming out of your mouth to describe Edamon.
That's what it is.
well, it's actually funny too because like I think about
No,
like,
not Edamon. Numamon were slug bears.
Numamon is slug bears.
Edamons were
Monzimon.
poop monkeys.
Oh, okay, I thought you were referring to Edamon as like a bear, and I
No,
thought
no,
they
no.
were slugs.
No,
like,
he's saying Monzimon and like Slugmon.
oh, that's right. Okay, I guess they are slug bears. God, I keep forgetting Monzimon is part of that package.
Well,
Yeah.
and that's kind of where I was going. Like, even if I like think about when I was playing, like of between like Edamon, Sukamon, and like Monzimon was like the only one that would like ever end up in like decent decks.
Yeah.
Because like they're the Waru Monzimons.
We had the
not
two
bad.
Digivolve Monzimon for a bit,
Yeah.
and then yeah.
Yeah. Although that one never stopped playing because it was the blue one. Well,
Yeah,
maybe
the-
it's
No, there's a two Digivolve Waru.
Yeah, Waru, the
Yeah,
black
the
one.
Yeah.
Waru one was sick.
Yeah. But now the Waru, while still very good in the Numamon deck, is just the other Monzimons are just so good. Because you can still play them for 5, which was a big appeal of that Waru Monzimon.
Yeah, no, they're extremely, extremely solid cards, and like they flood the board without having to think too much about it. Like you
It
get to
does
play
make-
them for free off of the Platinum Numemon.
It makes me sad that the deck is so good because I do like a funny deck being good,
Yeah,
and it's a fun deck to play.
But
It's just
insanely good.
it's insanely good.
Yeah,
It is insanely good, but again, if Monzim, if Numemon did not exist right now, I think that we would be in like a chokehold with armors right now.
I agree. It would
you
be
know
worse.
what? You know what it sounds like a little bit to me. It kind of sounds like in Hearthstone when Grim Patron was the best deck, and everyone was like mad that like they weren't nerfing it because it was clearly the best deck and like it was winning a lot. But like as soon as they nerfed Grim Patron, the meta was so much more boring. Like it just like it was basically like holding back the other like cancerous like play styles, I guess.
Yeah.
From like flourishing because they weren't able to deal with Grim Patron, and then like as soon as they got rid of it, it was like, oh, these decks are also not very fun. But now you can't just play like like Patron to like stop it kind of thing. So
Yeah, I truly believe that if Mirage didn't exist right now, Imperial Digimon would be such a crazy deck.
I still have not seen any Imperial. I have no concept of what this deck is like.
I brought it. I want us to play it. Like I want to play it really badly, so I want to play it against you once. It's just, and I want Eric to see because again, BT8 was really your last format. You played
Yeah.
EX2. You bought some BT9 boxes, never played.
no.
Decks are just far and away a lot better. And I had a lot of problems with BT8 Imperial Digimon
Oh
because
my
I
gosh,
hated
yeah.
I hated DNA.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I've got 5 level 4 blue cards in my hand, no greens.
My favorite was just like we'd like see the results and like Imperial Digimon would have like 2 guys in top 8, and then you would play it and you're like, so they're just lucky. Like they're just drawing better than me. I don't know what to do.
At first, I thought I was just bad, and
Yeah.
then I realized no, I'm not bad. I cannot draw for crap in Imperial Digimon because as soon as I swapped to blue hybrid, boom, second place
yeah.
in a big tournament. But I just could not get Imperial Digimon to work for me, and even now, it's like, it's probably not like it's not something that I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna take this to tournaments, but it is very fun to play, and I think I can describe a lot of the decks we have right now as very fun to play.
Yeah.
And fun to play against, honestly. There are a few that I think aren't super fun to play against, but I mean, I've spoken my opinion. I like playing against Numemon.
I like the format right now. I mean, for as much issues I'm having, like it's a format that's making me think. I think it's pretty engaging. I think that there's answers to everything that exists. It's just how do you manage your own board and having answers to what can appear.
Yeah, because what Numemon is doing right now is saying like, all right, you want to do your thing, but you have to start stopping me or I'm going to win, which is what aggro decks do. But that is fun for me. It's turn 1 against a Numemon player, and I'm starting to sweat. I'm like, oh, they've got 2 things on the board and a thing in the back.
Yeah, I mean, I won several games by just being like, I'm just gonna fucking brain dead my way in, and they're like, oh, it's turn 2, and I'm about to die.
That like when you say it like that, it's like that reminds me of why I liked playing Blue Hybrid. It was like obviously it was the best deck at the time, but it was like, oh, they're like swarming the board. Like, how do I like get out of this situation with what I have in my hand? And then like
you always had
Yeah.
you would consistently deal with 6 bodies on board, and it was so great. It was so fun.
It was so fun.
I actually think Blue Hybrid has a pretty decent matchup in a Numemon. It just sucks against so much.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like
One
you
of those,
have to deal with
meta
everything
picks where,
else.
like you're just like it's like a hate deck. Like you're like
Yeah.
I don't want Numemon to win, so I'm gonna only go in and like try to ruin their day, but everyone else will ruin mine.
I mean, we've talked about this before, but that's actually like a kind of consistent issue with the tournament structure of Digimon because like there can be a rock paper scissors dynamic. If a rogue deck beats the best deck in the format, it's like people still don't want to play it because then like if they run into anything else that they lose to, it's like, well, they're not setting themselves up to win the tournament. They're just setting themselves up to knock certain people who might win the tournament out of contention.
Very rarely do I feel more comfortable playing a rogue deck than just the best deck. I always want to play the rogue deck. I always want to play the deck that counters the best deck.
For locals, I think it makes sense, but for a large
yeah.
tournament, it's like there's too many bodies.
And that's the problem, is that it's just safer. The only time that I've really done well doing rogue, and it's not even like rogue, but just the deck that counters the best deck was Blue Flare into the Shine Greymon meta.
Blue Flare, yeah.
Yeah. Because I think that was just such a... I mean, it wasn't even like a great counter, but there's just so much Shine Greymon. It was consistent. All right. Time for us to take a break. We are going to record 2 episodes today because I'm just insanely busy with wedding planning. I'll say it on the pod.
You're just going to be open with it.
We're batch recording today.
We're batch
doing
recording.
2 episodes.
Yeah, so we're going to have Eric back. And I was actually going to say, there's a couple of things that I didn't get to talk about. So next week for listeners.
I don't want to hear them.
Sorry?
I don't want to hear them.
Well...
I don't want to hear what you have to say.
But I just played Symphony of the Night and Castlevania 64 back to back, which was quite an experience. And I think that our audience, they're champion at the bits. They're like, oh my god, Alucard, the guy from Kid Dracula and then Castlevania 3, he's back.
Find out next time, listeners.
All right, see you guys next week.